If you're hearing this, well done. You found a way to connect to the internet. Welcome to the QAA Podcast, episode 385, the flabbergastingly stupefying confabulations of Victor Marx. As always, we are your hosts, Jake Brokatansky,
Julian Field,
and Travis View. So I think that from now on, I'm going to keep doing all of our titles in like 19th century carnival barker style. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, just give me that to read cold.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
I didn't flub it this time, but next time you might not be so lucky, Corey.
You're in your P.T. Barnum era?
Oh yeah, every day, baby.
we gotta have some like custom P.T. Barnum like clothes made for Travis. Just like stuff that's like, it looks like a meme shirt that you would buy at like a souvenir shop, but all Barnum related and one of a kind.
Well, I think his hairstyle would work.
Yeah.
His hairstyle's not so far off the Barnum that they did in Deadwood.
Now, today we're going to be talking about our own kind of like a modern P.T. Barnum, but, the evangelical kind. A very special man with a very special story, because, storytelling is really core to why we even know about Victor Marx.
Karl Marx's brother, probably.
I've got a treat for you. This is gonna be fun.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! A threat!
Yeah, he's threatening me.
Yeah, in evangelical culture, a prime way of establishing your credibility in the church community is through your personal conversion testimony. This is your hero's journey, detailing how you endured sin, pain, and the evils of this fallen world, and how you rose up out of that darkness to a place of joy and noble service thanks to the healing grace of Jesus Christ. Now, there's no contest to evaluate the best conversion testimony. I think they should. I think it'd be fun. I think they should. There's annual contest. Everyone gives it up, and then there's one winner. There's one best personal testimony.
You're right. It's kind of un-American that there isn't a competition.
Oh, I would win this hands down. I've got like 17,000 reviews on Google Reviews or something like that. Like they email me all the time, and they tell me like, "You're a trusted guide, a city guide."
Are you Google reviewing different prophets or?
No, mostly just local game shops.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Guy who told me I didn't need to replace my entire phone screen, just the protector. People that make me feel good.
Yeah, as a reward.
As a reward, yeah.
Yeah. Jesus made me come to him.
Jesus.
But if there was a contest, I think it would be won by Victor Marx, the current Republican candidate for governor of Colorado. In fact, I think Victor Marx's conversion testimony is even better than the one told by former MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, who happens to be running in Minnesota's governor's race. We're actually,
what?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Oh my God, I was not aware. Mr. Lindell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, well, time to throw in the towel and the slippers and the pillow and run for governor. I had a dream. Jesus came to me in a dream. Jeez, I woke up pillowless.
I can't believe, Travis, that you're telling me that this guy got addicted to cocaine and all this stuff and had to recover, and he's still not at the level of Victor Marx?
Oh, no. In terms of the darkness he had to climb out of in his testimony. Oh, Victor Marx he's got a good story.
Yeah.
The testimony of Victor Marx is so dramatic and to his followers inspiring that he's built a very successful career as a preacher and speaker on the back of it. Victor Marx describes a life born into constant physical and emotional abuse. As he matured, he initially dealt with the pain through substance abuse, but as an adult, he discovered discipline through joining the Marines and found an outlet for his rage through martial arts. He reconciled with his estranged father, converted to Christianity, and decided to dedicate himself to helping troubled children, offering words of hope and inspiration at juvenile detention centers.
Oh my God.
He eventually became what he describes as a high-risk humanitarian and later founder of All Things Possible Ministries, which has grown from receiving $600,000 in 2011 to over $7.5 million in 2024. Now, this story, this personal story of Victor Marx, is now the main credential that he boasts about in his gubernatorial bid. On his campaign website, he says this:
I understand hardship because I've lived it. I understand leadership because I've practiced it in war zones, on rescue missions, and while rebuilding communities. Now, I'm taking on a new mission right here at home for the people that I love. Poignant.
Since he's seeking a major political office, people are beginning to question some of the details of his extraordinary life story and the image he presents. For example, some take issue with the claim that his stepfather forced him to kill a man at age 7.
Wait.
This is just something that stepfathers don't do anymore. Back in the day,
Yeah.
you know, when it was your time, when, you know, you didn't read from the Torah, you didn't get a communion. It's your stepdad took you out back and taught you how to kill a man.
Davy Crockett, forced to kill a man at 7 by his stepfather.
He's like, can't I just go hunting for raccoons like everybody, like all the other kids, Dad?
No.
He's like, no, son, you're going to kill a live human, just like my stepdad made me. And
This
his
is such
stepdad
a
before
crazy
him.
claim. The fact that this is contested is so nuts. It's like, you better be real sure this happened if you start claiming it.
Well, yeah, my stepdad held him down, made me gut him like a fish. Can't wait to see how this pans out.
Others are a little uneasy about Victor Marx's claim to be both a pedophile hunter and a demon hunter.
Wait a minute, like a K-pop type, or
Yeah, I mean,
he does look a little bit like that cat, you know,
I
that's
know.
sort of the very popular cat from that series.
it's really more Creole demon hunters than K-pop. Still others, like me, are skeptical regarding his claim to have turned down an opportunity to live in a Malibu mansion in order to teach karate to Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Well, now this I think is probably believable. This is the most believable
Okay.
claim so far.
Yeah?
It's only
All right.
believable if he's still doing drugs.
Here's the thing. The only thing we'll talk about it a little bit later, but it makes me skeptical because he turned it down. Why would you turn it down?
Yeah.
I wish they all could teach me karate. All right. All right.
Yeah, this was Brian Wilson's only shot at getting out of depression.
I
and,
wish they all could. I don't even know if I could get that high. Let's try. I wish they all could teach me karate. It's funny
Wow.
that the syllables kind of work out, you know?
Yeah, let's not do that again.
A lot of bits. That's not, come on, that didn't sound that bad. On key, you know. All right.
Beautiful
Thanks in advance, 3 Patreon commenters who go, I thought you have beautiful falsetto, Jake. I know, and thank you.
You have beautiful falsetto.
Wish they all could be.
No, please.
That's Travis really just,
Yeah.
oh man, how can we ever get this back on track? All right, we can and we will.
So today we're going to talk about the extraordinary self-reported life of Victor Marx and how it's coming under greater scrutiny since he's running for governor. Later, we'll be joined by Maureen Tkacik from the American Prospect to discuss her investigations into his background. Victor Marx has told his life story repeatedly in multiple formats. He has told it in his book, The Victor Marx Story, now in its 3rd edition. He has told it in documentaries, lectures, and interviews. This is part of his pitch about his credibility. He says that I'm an open book. I've been talking about my life for decades, so I've got nothing to hide. Victor Marx often talks about the sexual, physical, and psychological abuse he suffered as a child. Now, on this broad claim, I think there's no reason to doubt him. His older sister, Deborah, also describes growing up in an abusive household. Victor Marx says that he was born in Louisiana in 1965 into an extraordinarily unstable family. His biological father was Carl W. Marx Sr. Yes, his father was named Karl Marx.
Come on.
Same spelling, too, with a K.
Yeah, that is so incredible. They haven't even Americanized it.
No.
Wow. So I'm assuming his grandfather or grandmother were, fans of a certain Carl?
I don't know, I have to say.
That's
I
a
kinda doubt
nutty
it.
coincidence.
It'd be funny if they didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like young Carl growing up being like, all the teachers are smiling at me in school. I don't understand why.
Only if you're Cajun does this happen, by the way, accidentally
Yeah.
naming someone Karl Marx.
Then I Well, Marx is, of course, an old name from your grandmother's side, and Carr with a K is the name of your uncle, who I was quite fond of.
Karl W. Marx Sr. initially rejected Victor and is described as a violent street fighter involved in pimping, drugs, insurance fraud, the Cajun mafia, and later the occult.
Oh, yes, of course. Ah, yes, the occult.
Now, I mean, this is the Cajun mafia and the occult. So when I read this in his book, I was like, I sat up. It's like, wow, this is pretty exciting. Now, you might think that he offers up, some details, some more explanation about what he means by these things, but he doesn't. So this sentence in his book is everything that Victor Marx says about his father's involvement in the Cajun mafia.
Eventually, he became involved with the Cajun mafia.
No more questions, Your Honor.
That's it. No elaboration. That's
I
it.
rest my case. Oh, my God.
And this single sentence is everything that Victor Marx says about his father's involvement with the occult.
Later, he was deeply involved in the occult, becoming a warlock who dealt in some bad, scary stuff.
Oh, no, not bad, scary stuff from a warlock. Okay, so, I mean, we are dealing with a Cajun liar. It's kind of like an old tradition. This is a beautiful thing to see. I mean, this guy is like some version of Jack Gonsolin, like some sort of evil Jack Gonsolin.
It's true. This is a real Bayou storyteller here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, yeah.
I tried to find anywhere as many appearances and speeches he might have offered some more specifics about his father's involvement in the occult. And all I could find was a 2023 interview in which he also said that his father cast spells on people.
Right.
He was a warlock.
Whoa.
He was a practicing warlock, casting spells on people, all public knowledge. And he was a bouncer, and he was this karate guy, boxer. So he's just overall bad dude.
So he was a practicing warlock, not just some sort of secular warlock that doesn't attend warlock temple.
No.
Oh, yeah, real bad dude. I mean, this guy he was dismantling imps like you wouldn't even believe. He was all sorts of spells he had unlocked.
Yeah, because usually warlock dads, it'll just be more about the culture. They'll have some posters, maybe a statuette or something.
Mm-hmm.
No.
They'll get around with a couple other older guys, and I don't know.
Yeah, they're not dragging you off to Warlock Temple. They're not telling you to pay attention. They know that this is a fading tradition, but not so with a practicing warlock.
Yeah.
That is scary stuff.
Look, these guys, they get together once a month. They get, they light a couple candles and they throw those little poppers on the ground. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
But the real ones, I mean, these guys, they're opening portals, they're reaching in, they're pulling demons out of them, they're shoving them down the toilet in front of their sons.
No.
Bad, scary stuff.
It's not one of these lapsed warlocks. No, he donates to his local coven like clockwork every month.
Yeah, nor is he a born-again warlock, which are like Johnny-come-latelys who are a little too intense with their words.
He's got 2 slotted swords in his closet, all right?
I'm going to let Victor Marx tell the story of his difficult origin in his own words from a 2015 interview. So this is how he opened the interview to discuss, the terrible situation he was born into.
I was born in the 60s, and I had 3 siblings already. And my mother, who was young, she had her first child at 16. Their marriage didn't make it. They were divorced when I was born. And my father actually, became a drug dealer and a pimp. And the night that I was conceived, he actually put a gun to her head. Didn't claim me when she was pregnant. He actually told her, "That ain't mine." Didn't even call me a kid. He said, "That ain't mine." Because she had gone into other relationships already.
Wait a minute. The night he was conceived, the guy raped his mother and put a gun to her head and then went, "That ain't mine." He knew he was leaving a child inside?
To be clear, Jake, I think it was later that he said that ain't mine.
Yeah.
There's just this incredible embellishment of the night I was conceived, he held a gun to her head.
No, I was brought into this world on the night I was conceived in horrible abusive violence. I didn't get a break even as a zygote, is really the message here. So his mother, Rita, repeatedly married men who provided temporary security, but often introduced new forms of danger. Marx says that by his high school graduation, he had lived in 17 homes, attended 14 schools, and acquired several different father figures. The darkest portion of his personal story concerns Marx's allegations of very wretched childhood abuse. He says that his stepfather, identified only as Mr. K, severely abused him roughly between the ages of 3 and 7 years old. Marx says that Mr. K tortured him by suffocating him in a bathtub. Here's how he tells that story in a 2012 documentary, The Victor Marx Story, When Impossible is the Only Way Out.
He dunked me in a tub one time, bent me over a tub of water, and he's dunking me, and he'd hold me there, and he'd say, hold your breath, and pull me up. And I would have to count to 25, because that's when I know that's how long I could hold my breath. And he held me down one time against the oxygen deprivation, and I passed out. I woke up on the floor, looking up on that wet tile floor, to him breathing in my mouth. His first words were, boy, I'm the one that gives you life. And I never forget it.
Wow. This man is the quintessential American, man. He's got like those kind of reenactment scenes that are happening like while he's telling the story and everything. I don't want to be dismissive because obviously child abuse exists and perhaps this man went through it, but like I guarantee you this is fucking highly probable to be completely insane claims that he's making to shore up his story.
I mean, yeah, I really felt like the same way. Like the general unstable, abusive environment in which he was raised, I have no reason to doubt that. But it's one of those things where like how much of it is, literally true and how much of it is, something that he may have reconstructed later as he's trying to make sense of his horrible traumatic experiences as an adult. He has a bunch of other stories of abuse. For example, he describes being sexually abused by a farm worker at age 5 and then locked inside a commercial egg cooler where he nearly froze to death. He says that he was groomed and molested by an older male acquaintance. And he says that he had to fight off another drunken adult who allegedly attempted to molest him. And he was repeatedly exposed to domestic violence, alcoholism, and firearms. He claimed that Mr. K was especially skilled at instilling fear in people because he worked in military intelligence and was trained by government agencies.
Oh my God.
You see, he had a military background where he was in counterintelligence, and he said the NSA had trained him. So like these psych ops type. And I just know this, he knew how to get into your head. He knew how to get into your head. So we lived in fear.
You know what this actually reminds me of is that alien convention in Grafton where it was like really graphic child abuse stuff, but they went even further and they're like, oh yeah, and then I was sent to the planet whatever and abducted by the CIA.
I got that sense too, yeah.
But his story is too cool. Like he says it with too much storytelling aplomb. Like it just doesn't ring right to me. Something's wrong here. Something's deeply wrong with this man.
Yeah, that little detail about like how his father was like trained by the NSA, I thought it was a weird one. Of all the intel agencies
that do psych ops and
that do psych ops. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, the one I won't think about when doing that kind of work isn't the computer nerds at the NSA, like CIA, military intelligence. Okay. The NSA? I don't know.
Yeah, JSOC, Army Intelligence, Special Forces, something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this guy goes on to incorporate aliens into his stories. I think he's one, like, burst of excitement away. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, you're in a public situation and, like, somebody, like, a bunch of people, like, laugh really hard at your story or whatever. You could tell that they're invested and you decide to kick it up a notch. I feel like this guy's right there almost. He's more than willing to go on all of these shows and talk about all of this stuff. Typically I feel like most people that go through this kind of insane abuse usually, they keep it hidden.
He's a minister, so he has practice selling.
Oh, well, yes, he must proselytize. Yes, of course.
But like I said, this is what he's built his entire career on, is that I was raised in horrifying darkness and I was raised out of it. What makes the story dramatic is the change between where he came from and where he is now. There's one claim from his childhood that's especially dark and weird. He says at the age of 7, he was forced to participate in Mr. K murdering a man with a pistol.
And the guy is semi-conscious and he sees what's going on because I think he thought this was what was going to happen to me. And now it's happening to him. And, I have the pistol to the back of his head and I remember trying to pull the trigger and I couldn't. And I don't know if it was the pounds per square inch, 7, and but I'm squeezing, and I can't pull it. And then I feel his hand come over and grab my wrist, and then his right hand comes around, and he slips his finger over mine, and he presses until the revolver goes off. And when it fired, it hit the guy in the back of his head, and it killed him. And then, he pushed his body into the hole, and he told me, boy, this, it's your first kill.
PBS Hawaii, what is going on? Why is there a lady just nodding here?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good question.
I don't know what the fuck happened.
She goes, and the next part of the lie?
He further claims that Mr. K preserved the gun and told Victor that if he told anyone about what happened, his fingerprints would tie him to the murder weapon and he would be executed. Now, the first time he told this story was in that 2015 interview, and is strangely absent from his 2010 biography or his 2012 documentary. Now, you might reason and say, okay, well, it was so traumatic. He just was not prepared to share the story until he was much older. But that wouldn't explain why it was also omitted from the 2017 third edition of his biography.
Oh my God, he realized maybe it was too far.
Yeah, it's funny. When he told the story again in a 2023 interview, it had picked up some extra details. He claimed that the man begged to not be shot.
And he raised it to the back of this guy's head and this high. Now this guy's conscious, and he's begging me, please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me. Please don't.
Oh, there you go. This is a lie right here. I have watched enough police interrogation videos on YouTube to know that when you add a detail like this, come on, that should have been in the original story if he's begging.
He also added more details about how this man died and claimed that Mr. K smeared the man's blood against Victor Marx's face.
Oh my, he doesn't know where to stop.
He's bleeding out. You know that gurgle sounds when somebody's dying. And he wiped his hand on the blood on the wood floor, and he slapped it in my face and mouth, like they do when you kill your first deer. And he said, boy, that's your first kill of a man.
Another new detail?
Another new detail.
Yeah.
Why didn't you remember this the first time? I mean, smearing the blood, your stepfather smearing blood on your face, like that would be so traumatic. Julian, I think you called it, what did you call this man? A Tennessee liar?
Cajun liar.
Yeah,
Cajun liar.
Yeah.
It's almost too trite, like it's too cliche.
I love it. I love it. It's so rare in this world that something can be called exactly what they are. You know what I mean? Like things are so often there's a gray area, but this really suits him, a Cajun liar. I mean, this is a trickster of old.
Victor Marx said that years later he reported the killing to the local sheriff's department, but when the outlet Axios inquired about this, the agency said that it had no record of the incident. When Victor Marx was asked about the story by 9 News anchor Kyle Clark, it led to this exchange, which went viral online.
Your claim that your abusive stepfather forced you to kill a man when you were 7 years old, is that the only person you've ever killed?
Come on. Come on.
Well, I would say as a child, yes. I mean, without question.
What?
Well,
but I've been in other situations where, possibly people or persons died as a result of me defending myself in other countries.
Other countries.
There's no count on that, and there's no photos but that was something as a kid without a doubt. Yeah.
Do you think that you've killed people as an adult?
Does it matter?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Why?
Like, killing somebody's a pretty weighty thing.
If someone's trying to kill you or you're in combat?
It's still a weighty thing to take somebody else's life. I mean, it could be self-defense, it could be justified, but it's still a weighty thing. So I'm just asking you, how many people have you killed?
Well, if I did, I wouldn't be telling a reporter sitting here in my training center.
How about voters? Would you tell voters?
There's no need. I don't think that's important. It's actually kind of It's an odd question to me.
I'm so busted. I mean, this is crazy. He's melting down. He's incapable of continuing. You know, he's clearly somebody who like takes care to add the details in a certain measured way. But when you catch him on off his kind of turf, he even mentions his turf. He's like, right here in my training center. Like, what are you on about?
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got a couple girlfriends at this overnight camp. Yeah, well, of course. I mean, I wouldn't tell you how many I've had, of course, you know, or how long we dated or how often we fornicated. But let me tell you, my sleepaway camp girlfriends, they couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's treating it like a question about his, like, you know, his intimate personal life. Oh, this isn't relevant, but it's about how many people you've killed. It's like, this is the only murder you've personally been involved with, or are there others? He's hemming and hawing about this.
What I find the most damning is there's no hauntedness. Like, he is not, clearly there's just no, I don't know, there's just something missing there, like, that I think most people who've gone through this kind of thing and who've taken lives and all this stuff, like, they treat it with a certain reverence, or they get a distant look in their eye. This is not that.
Yeah. Any, you know, professional murderer in an on-camera interview, like, worth their salt, would have been like, oh, yeah, well, I was deployed in Afghanistan from 2011 to 2014. I do have on record over 12 confirmed killed. Like, you know, that's something that I feel like I've heard said on the news before.
Yeah, or say, I don't want to tell you how many people I killed, but I was deployed during this period, and it did involve that kind of thing. Anything that's a little more precise, because this is just so vague.
Yeah, you can't just kind of clam up and then pretend like you're hiding a smile, a smirk, you know? This guy is like, man, he's just playing putsy, you know?
He's also like, listen, I did killings, obviously, as a child, when you can't prosecute me for it. And also abroad when we're, you know, that's also very hard to check into or understand.
And in certain situations where I might have had to defend myself overseas.
Yeah.
Overseas through a time machine.
Yeah.
At summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that, we'll get into it, we also, he built a career as a martial artist. I'm wondering if he's like, sort of like almost protecting his like reputation as a badass by leaving that question ambiguous.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm. It says that the night that he and his mother finally escaped this abuse happened on the night when his mother prayed for protection against Mr. K, and it worked.
He pulls out a pistol, and he starts shooting out the lights on the outside of the house. The argument was based on the electricity bill was too high. So when he starts shooting, my mother runs, grabs us. We go into a closet in the back room, and she shuts the door, but leaves a crack so she can see the door. And she just said, kids, just gotta be quiet. And then he starts yelling, where y'all at? Where are y'all at? And he comes in the house looking for us. And again, he was demonically energized. And when people have evil in them or on them and driving them, they'll do anything. And he said, come out, or I'm coming in. And then my mom, she started saying, I plead the blood of Jesus over the door. I plead the blood of Jesus over the door. But sure enough, my stepfather couldn't come into the room. There was a physical barrier or some type of restraint, and he was growling and angry. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, he literally can't get in. And then he went and passed out in his room. We escaped through a little window in that room that night, never came back.
Off-camera voice, wow, incredible.
Hey, Jamie, can you look up protective barriers?
My God, it's supernatural. It's full-on supernatural now. We don't have aliens, Jake, sorry, but we do have, like, essentially, like, energy barriers and Jesus
like
protecting.
A growling drunk stepdad being like,
started barking.
what is he? I plead the blood of Jesus. I don't even know if that prayer makes, you know.
No, this is very like hardcore evangelical, like Pentecostal type shit.
As an adolescent, Marx says that he became angry, violent, and reckless. He drank, used drugs, stole, vandalized property, fought bullies, and spent one night in jail. Yet, he says he also found aptitude as a trumpet player. He says he became Louisiana's state champion in a Christian school trumpet competition and competed in the national championship in Dallas. Bizarrely, I couldn't find any corroboration of this online. For the trumpet playing claim, he doesn't identify the specific contest, category, or date of this competition. Like, which one of the competitions that happened in like the 80s are you talking about? It sounds like he might be referring to the Church of God Teen Talent Competition, which has a brass instrument category and a competition ladder that moves from regional to state to national. Its 1980 national championship was held in Dallas, so that might be sort of the one and the year he's referring to. But a magazine from that year only listed the winners, and I couldn't find information about the state competition in Louisiana. So I don't know. This one's kind of gnawing me.
Man, you did your best, dude.
Yeah, it's like, why would you lie about this? I was like, this is kind of like eating me up. I might go up to like deeper archives because this one's like, why? It's like, if it's untrue, this is just one of those weird lies.
This is how fair Travis is that like after 8 years of doing this thing, like I actually can tell in his voice, like he might actually travel. Like he might travel to sort of figure out, it's like, is there one fucking thing that this guy said that's like true and real? Like, is there one, like his dumb trumpet competition that he's like, oh yeah, best player in my class, you know, from like 8th grade or whatever, the one thing he's holding on to, which, you know, as somebody, you know, with a lot of lost dreams like that, it's probably a trumpet competition that he almost entered, you know, and it would have been amazing if he won, but it's so sweet that you want to actually like look up and see, like, did he do one thing that he said?
He also says he dabbled in media, working at both a Christian radio station and a local NBC television affiliate. After barely graduating from high school, he spent several months partying in Acapulco with the former stepfather he once fled. I don't know. It seems like I wouldn't hang out with that guy personally, but I don't know. Different story.
We partied later, you know. He made me kill several men, but we partied later pretty hard.
Yeah, we talked about those killings together and over a couple of beers, and we shook hands, and I told him, Papa, I forgive you. And he said, well, good, son, because I have another man for you to kill.
He then worked briefly as a bouncer and clothing salesman. By the way, this is also part of Mike Lindell's self-testimony. He once worked as a bouncer at a bar. Mm-hmm. When caught stealing from a store, Marx avoided prosecution by claiming that he was about to join the Marine Corps and then enlisted in order to make the claim true. The Marine Corps supplied Marx with discipline and a masculine identity. Marx says that he became proficient with rifles and pistols and pursued martial arts intensely. He also recounts a lucky escape. An unidentified crew chief allegedly ordered him off of the helicopter onto another shortly before the first aircraft crashed, killing everyone aboard. So, of course, this is one of these things where, like, again, he doesn't provide a lot of specifying details that allow us to track the specific, perhaps, like, news story related to this horrible multi-casualty incident, but he presents it as evidence that, like, God was preserving him for a future purpose. Near the end of his enlistment, Marx received a letter from his estranged biological father, who announced that he had become a born-again Christian. Visiting him while on Marine leave, Marx attended church and became a born-again Christian on June 22nd, 1986. He experienced God as a loving father, repented of his past, and reconciled with Karl. As it so happens, Victor Marx's father was also a martial artist. In fact, and this part is true, unbelievably, Karl Marx, Victor Marx's father, is a creator of a martial arts system called Kichudo or Kichuryu, also known as Cajun karate.
Okay.
It's described as a hybrid system of karate, jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, weapons, and practical self-defense. And there are really records from the 70s which describe this Karl Marx as teaching this martial arts system in Louisiana.
No drunken kung fu, no transforming into a rougarou?
No.
Cajun karate. We'll have to get Jack to do a deep dive into that.
Uh-huh.
Now, Victor Marx left the Marines in December of 1986, joined Calvary Chapel, and started working with young people. Up to this point, he had been living as Victor Kennedy, surname taken from one of his stepfathers. But he changed his surname to Marx as a gesture of reconciliation with Karl. In fact, he begins to train under his father and uses martial arts as his main evangelical tool. He eventually became what he says a seventh-degree black belt in the martial arts system that his father invented.
Mm-hmm. A warrior for God. He's like Ip Man, but for Jesus.
Yes, the seventh step is the nutria.
So it was during this time, he says, he had his encounter with Brian Wilson. Now, I'd like to offer that story from his book in full.
I was working at the La Costa Spa and Resort in the summer of 1988 when Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys approached me and said, "I'd like to take private karate lessons from you." So I gave Brian and his personal assistant a lesson that included various styles of fighting. A few days later, I received a phone call inquiring if I would be interested in moving to Brian Wilson's mansion in Malibu. I would be paid a handsome salary in exchange for my karate instructions and, I guess, bodyguarding. Would I? I thought, this is great. My friends were so excited. Wow, he's one of the Beach Boys. You can't pass that up. Eileen had just begun teaching her fitness classes at my karate school when I approached her with the news. I've been offered a job with Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. I'll have to move to Malibu, but it'll be cool. I was feeling pretty good about this offer. I'll never forget Eileen's response. Why would you take it? Did God tell you to? Her question stopped me dead in my tracks. Was I taking the job simply because someone famous had asked me? Or was this really the right thing to do? Bullshit, by the way, because anytime that something comes up, if you're a religious person, like this guy is religious, something comes up that you want to do, God told you to, it's in God's plans.
Yeah.
The thing doesn't come up and then you go, let me see what God's thinking on this. No, you go, oh, the fact that it came up and it's being offered to me is God's. So yet again, I think we've got another fib. After consulting with the Lord, I went back to Eileen. Thanks for getting in my face about that Brian Wilson offer. God didn't tell me to take it. Yeah, Brian didn't call you back, I'm guessing. So I'm turning it down. It just wasn't meant to be. So I told them I couldn't come.
I'm very disappointed that Brian Wilson died last year, and so he's not able to comment on the story.
Maybe if we comb through interviews and pages of his diary, we can verify this.
Did you ever want a Cajun liar to teach you karate?
He's like, Brian, this move right here, it'll make women fall in love with you. But you gotta hit him in the right spot.
In the heart?
No, it's a nerve behind the right ear.
Okay.
To me, this is just a weird 8-year-old boy style fib. You know, it's like, my dad, he got an offer to teach one of the Beach Boys karate at his mansion and then be his bodyguard and live with him. But he said no.
Yeah. I went to school with a guy in college who said he auditioned for Gambit.
Oh, okay. Yes, that kind of I had a brush with greatness. I was but you know what, wasn't the right time. But
there isn't even a Gambit in the movies yet. There wasn't a Gambit. Gambit's just kind of coming out now. It was so, and he just said it like it was true. I don't understand. I wish I could lie this effortlessly.
Was he Cajun? Because Gambit is, right?
He sure is. Yeah,
he did kind of have it. I don't think he was Cajun, but he could probably put it on. It was believable enough. I don't know. And if he's a listener of this show and you did audition for Gambit, Alex, I'm really sorry, dude. Silence.
Yeah.
Nobody laughed. Nobody chuckled.
There's nothing funny about somebody not getting an audition.
Yeah, it's acting is a difficult profession, Jake.
Thank you.
I'm rooting for every one of them.
That's fun. That was funny. You made it funny.
Thank you.
With his wife, Victor Marx operated fitness and karate schools, briefly attempted to plant a Calvary Chapel congregation in Louisiana, and then establish successful schools in California and Hawaii. Marx portrays himself as a gifted instructor whose schools produce numerous national and world champions. After a severe hamstring injury, however, he develops depression, anxiety, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, and what doctors diagnose as bipolar disorder. His marriage deteriorates, and Eileen eventually insists that he obtain serious psychological help. Now, his autobiography acknowledges extensive counseling and later credits a Christian trauma psychologist with helping him confront disassociated memories. In 2001, Marx left a prosperous life in Hawaii for a lower-paying public affairs position at Focus on the Family in Colorado Springs, the right-wing evangelical organization. He describes representing James Dobson's organization to supporters, speaking at churches and schools, and combining testimony with dramatic weapons demonstrations. In 2002, Marx founded All Things Possible Ministries to help reach the youth. Its core work was visiting juvenile facilities and prisons, speaking in churches and schools, and distributing books and recordings of Mark's story.
Okay.
Alrighty, nice.
Now, his ministry involves martial arts demonstrations, including gun disarms. And researching this bit made me realize I have seen Victor Marx before. Many years ago, on Reddit, I think, I saw this viral video of a man wearing a powder blue shirt demonstrating a double gun disarm. What looks like a high school assembly in a basketball court. Apparently, this was Victor Marx. So in the clip, he has one teenage boy stand in front of him and point a prop gun at his head, while a second teenage boy stands behind him and does the same. And in one quick motion, he snatches the gun from the boy in front of him with his right hand and spins around to point the gun at the boy behind him while controlling that boy's gun with his left hand.
Oh my God.
All right, so let me try this. All right, y'all put that up there.
Oh my God, I've seen this. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So self-satisfied.
yes, he is. I mean, I get it. When you have a captive audience of a bunch of high schoolers, that can go wrong real fast. So I think he's just happy. He's happy it went okay.
Yeah, and that he didn't drop the dummy gun and stuff. Yeah. It looked cool. I remember thinking that was so cool. I remember thinking that could work if a gun ever was pulled on me, and then I could get the kind of accolade and sort of clout that he does in that video, because he looks like a nerd.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because gun disarming videos are always like such prime huckster material, pretending that you could like take on multiple people with arms.
Yeah.
Victor Marx has even previously claimed that he has the world's fastest gun disarm. Now, this is not recognized by Guinness World Records. He acquired this record by uploading a video of himself performing a 0.28 second disarm to the website Record Setter. This is a self-moderated kind of like record catalog website. However, even on that site, he was surpassed in 2016 with a disarm of 0.19 seconds. On Facebook, he once complained that Guinness won't even recognize a fastest gun disarm category.
Guinness World Record will not sanction my fastest gun disarm. Is not politically correct. Too high risk for kids.
That doesn't even make sense. There's like a category about how many cigarettes you can smoke at the same time.
Oh, really? Yeah. He has also claimed that he became so fast with the disarm because of his childhood abuse.
Oh, my God.
My stepfather sat me in a chair when I was a kid and pulled out that gun, pulled the hammer back, put his finger on the trigger. I could see the rounds, and he would tap me to the side of my head. And he would say, if you ever tell anybody what I've done, I'm going to blow your brains out. I'll put the gun next to you, call the police, and say you shot yourself playing with my gun. And I remember as a kid, I was 7 at the time. I'll never forget my brain saying, one day, I'll be so fast, no one will ever be able to hold a gun to me. One day. And it sure enough happened. So.
Well, not according to the Guinness Book of World Records, sir. One day, I decided that I was the fastest. And by the way, 7th degree black belt in the special kind of karate that my dad made up. You know what I mean? It's like I got my black. It's like I got my black belt at camp. He's such an at camp guy.
In 2014, his ministry took a pivot to what he calls high-risk outreach. I mean, this is when he got into his Tim Ballard era. That year, he took a trip with the armed Christian humanitarian group, the Free Burma Rangers. Soon, he says he was involved in rescuing a baby boy from ISIS and delivering stuffed animals to traumatized children.
From ISIS?
Yep.
Never happened.
There's the time I rescued a baby boy from ISIS. They were trying to cut that little boy's head off. That could be like a really great folksy song. Maybe I'll work on that for an auto-tune. I mean, an auto-cue, not auto-tune. I will auto-tune my voice, but.
Yeah.
As years passed, he started to claim that he was helping children and women in crisis from Iraq and Syria to Southeast Asia. In 2023, he leaned into this work by soliciting funds for what he calls the Pedophile Hunters Fund.
Everybody, Victor Marx with All Things Possible Ministries. Today, we are telling you about a new initiative we're standing up called the Pedophile Hunters Fund, and we need your help. Everyone knows it's time to start protecting our children, and pedophiles are so aggressive, they're actually hunting our kids. They told us they were going to do it, and we've seen this on the rise and increase. So now, we're going after them.
I mean, this is a great pitch. Yeah, it was like pedophiles are actively hunting your children right now, and I'm going to stop them if you give me money.
Hey, look outside your window. You got pedophiles running around. What are they doing? They're on all fours. They're hunting your children. I'm going to hand you a gun.
Victor Marx also talks about demons with surprising casualness. In a 2023 interview, he recounts how he straight up banished a few demons the day before while lounging by the pool.
I said, I hunt pedophiles, but I also hunt demons.
Oh my gosh.
So do one of y'all have an issue you need to be prayed for? And the girl goes, me, please pray for me. I went, fine. I sat down. The dude is sitting there like, what? I said, I can tell you within 5 minutes if you have any demons that are assigned to you, and we'll destroy them. Sure enough, found out within 3 minutes, within 10 minutes, she, while in the jacuzzi, got set free from 5 demons that had been assigned to her and trying to kill her whole life. We knew the lies. It's called retooling prayer. It is the most powerful thing we do. She gets set free. She jumps out, hugs me, is crying. Her face changes. It's soft. And my wife said, you know, Eileen was crying on the other side.
I was going to say, so Eileen's just like laying out by the pool watching all of this go down?
Yeah, I mean, for her, it's like, it's another day. It's just another day for us.
It's like, yeah.
My God.
I love the specificity that this woman had 5 demons assigned to her. Not 4, not 6,
Yeah.
5.
It's really hard to relax in the jacuzzi when 5 demons are currently after you.
Yeah.
Is he sure she didn't like fart 5 times, in the bubbles, so it came up and he's like, there they are. It's the demons. They're escaping. I guess in a jacuzzi, there's already sort of like waves. Okay, that doesn't make sense.
Profoundly unrelated.
Profoundly, we can cut
and
that.
Fart focused.
Yeah,
no,
fart
no.
focused.
I think we keep it in.
We're so rarely fart focused. Like we could really. I don't want to. Yeah, we got to sell this one like a 2015
No.
fart focus.
Let that linger in the air.
No.
Yeah, so this is where we are now. Like I said, this guy's his main qualification for his bid for governor is the stories that he's telling. All the things he's been through and all the things he's accomplished and all the things he says happened to him. This is what he's running on. And I mean, we'll see how far his personal testimony takes him. Yeah, after Trump, I mean, I'm not going to make predictions about, electoral, success anymore. I mean, it would be really shocking if he's able to take all this way to the governor's mansion. To help us make sense of the wild tales of Victor Marx, we're joined by journalist Maureen Tkacik. Maureen is an investigations editor at the American Prospect and a senior fellow at the American Economic Liberties Project. Her June investigation, Onward Christian Soldier, examines Marx's purported rescue work, the ministry and political networks surrounding him, and the making of his hardcore pastor persona. Maureen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. What a topic.
Yeah.
What a gallimaufry.
Yeah, as I said, we've been talking about him. It's like, Julian branded him a classic Cajun liar. Just like,
100%.
Travis is on a quest to figure out if one thing he said was true, which he's told so many lies now that I can't. This is like, I now understand why my father was so frustrated with me when I was like, 6 or 7 years old. Like, what were we trying to verify, Travis, that he won some kind of trumpet contest?
He claimed that he was a statewide champion in a trumpet contest, and then he went to the nationals, but he didn't win there. And I was trying to figure out which one it was and whether or not he won. And it's I think I identified perhaps the contest he was talking about, but I couldn't tell whether or not he actually participated. That one's driving me a little nuts.
Wow, I didn't even know about this trumpeting. What a multi-talented man. It is a good question to ask, though. What isn't, there are things that can be verified. Obviously, his father, I don't understand why his father's name was Karl Marx, other than that's a pretty great name to have.
A lot of the damaging information and serious allegations about Victor Marx were actually assembled by right-wing activists doing opposition research on him. How'd that happen?
There is a woman, a former Moms for Liberty activist in in Colorado Springs, sorry. Her name is Darcy, and she had this visceral reaction to Victor Marx, after Charlie Kirk died, he, the day after that week, and it might have been like the very next day after the assassination, he announced that he was running for governor, and that basically that like Charlie had left him this duty. Essentially, he had to do it for Charlie. He was one of the first people that some posts went up on Instagram of him comforting Erica Kirk, in the hours after the murder. So clearly, like, he was a person that she went straight to for a little helping hand, some empathy. And and very soon thereafter, he announces he's running for governor. And this Moms for Liberty activist told me she was just listening to the radio and she just hated this man. She's like, he was just a grifter, every misogynist man, every deadbeat ex-husband I'd ever, he was just like combined into one. So it was really interesting. So, from there on, this woman, Darcy Schoening, and a crew of sort of, volunteer sleuths, some of whom had actually given him money, but had sort of decided that he was a grifter, started, building up this dossier on this man, Victor Marx. And, the longer it got, the crazier, like there's whole chapters of Victor Marx's life that I just don't understand at all, but that I, that would probably be very illuminating. What's been funny to me is just everybody involved in the crowdsourced effort to kind of expose Victor Marx is conservative, is like the audience for, what he's selling. And I think that it also sort of highlights how the crazy and unprecedented extent to which right-wing propaganda is like backfiring on its audience and has been since the Charlie Kirk assassination. That's been spectacular to watch.
How would you explain Victor Marx's personal testimony and how he promotes it?
So I started talking to Darcy Schoening because I just thought, well, this guy is not somebody that you could make up. If you look up Victor Marx, I'm not sure what happens if you Google him, but one of the first hits you'll get is his YouTube page where you can see that he produced a movie about himself called The Victor Marx Story, which is extremely entertaining for the first 5 minutes.
Really disturbing reenactments in that one of child abuse.
Yes. It's and he goes back to his house. So I kind of assume that part must have been sort of based in reality, because he does go back to supposedly his childhood house where he endured so much abuse from his stepfather who would electrocute him all the time.
He's like, and I stood right here with Forrest Gump and I said a prayer, a little song. I said, make me a bird so I could fly far, far away from here. And they actually stole that and put it in the movie.
Oh my God, it's so good. I wish I could do his voice. Yeah, he, at some point, his father, Karl Marx, left his mom to go be a karate champion around the world, but also just in Louisiana. He had a karate studio in Louisiana. And his mother moves in with this guy who is in military intelligence, he says. And like I said, he would eventually be ratted out by his pilot. I guess he was trafficking marijuana from Jamaica to Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi. And I guess the pilot crashed or something. And when he was found, he decided to kind of flip. So his brother, who was a lawyer for the trafficking organization, and his stepdad, and a whole lot of ancillary characters, get charged and go on trial. And he at this point is in the Marines. So he served, I think, 3 years, maybe a little less, in the Marines. I'm not sure why it was such a short stint, but this is after sort of enduring this extremely abusive childhood where he claims his stepfather, loved to find random indigent people to sexually abuse him and watch, and that one homeless guy that he, took back to their place didn't want to do it. And so he gave him his gun and said, son, you've got to kill this man now because he won't abuse you. And when he was 5 or 7 years old, I'm forgetting, it actually changes depending on, and his father, put his finger on the trigger and helped him, but he pulled the trigger and murdered this man. And then they buried him somewhere nearby, but no one knows where, and they could never find the body. But that is one of his earliest memories that he's shared a few times.
With varying degrees of details, by the way. Sometimes he tells more of the story and more details about what the guy said to him. So good evidence that it is partially or mostly or all fabricated.
I mean, it sounds kind of crazy. At the same time, I never want to, since, I've looked at the Epstein files, because I have done this story and I've probed the inner workings of a sex trafficking organization that may or may not be very closely linked to Tim Ballard's, this stuff does happen. There are, really abusive, sadistic fucks out there doing terrible things.
I agree. I would never want to deny somebody's assault claim outright, and absolutely, this stuff does happen, and it's not to diminish the reality of those crimes for sure. I just thought it was worth noting. We'd watched a couple interviews with him, and he adds some details here and there, but
and the method of electrocution, I never really kind of understood how he was being electrocuted, but it's for most people they'd be like, he used to throw me in the bathtub and then throw, what was it? He would throw the radio in the bath to electrocute me or something, some bizarre story along those lines. But he would, repeatedly electrocute. And then he threw him in the ice box, in the walk-in refrigerator or something along those lines. So he endured, he has a lot of different stories about the abuse. And it could just be the phenomenon of, being electrocuted every week. It used to sound pretty cool, but now I've, told the story so many times and, maybe I need to top myself, or maybe I need to, find a different story. Who knows? In any event, what Darcy thinks, which I think is kind of interesting, or one of her helpers was speculating that he tells these abuse stories just to put distance between him and his stepfather, because his stepfather is, in organized crime. So that could also be true. In any event, he reunites with Karl Marx, who has a karate studio in California, and the karate studio, and Karl Marx is also, his karate studio is somehow affiliated with a Calvary chapel in, I think, Ventura County. So he somehow, starts up his own karate studio that also has this element of Christianity to it. At this point, he gets ordained, but the Calvary chapel, there's really no standards for ordaining their ministers. So he goes back and forth over as to whether he is or isn't a true pastor. But my understanding of the way that the Calvary chapel works is that they don't really have any standards. It's kind of whatever certification you need to marry somebody, for instance. So he does that, and then somehow he ends up in Honolulu with a karate studio out there and meets his beautiful wife, who is a fitness pageant queen. I think she was Miss Hawaii Fitness 1985 or something, but that's, certainly don't quote me on that she just had some sort of title like that. And she starts a kickboxing studio, and they get, these people, wherever they go, they get a lot of, newspaper clips about, oh, everybody loves this guy's karate studio. They move back to California, and then they go to Waco, Texas, where on a mission from Focus on the Family, the evangelical organization, and he is supposed to set up a ministry and a kind of alternative to incarceration program in Waco. And by this point, he's sort of marketing himself as a bad kid done good story, a sort of a mentor to at-risk teens trying to teach these kids karate. But it's something, the community doesn't like the idea of having this juvie in the middle of their neighborhood. And I don't think that he makes it. And then he goes back to California, and then ultimately ends up in Colorado Springs. Which is really like they call it the evangelical Vatican. It is the, ground zero of this, churches with really, intense, elaborate musical programs. And I don't even, fireworks churches or churches with, sequin churches. And this is all really, it's all a very foreign world to me, but this is kind of what rules the roost in Colorado Springs. And so he comes at some point, they put out this movie. I guess they put out the movie back when he was still in California, the Victor Marx story. And that is like a biopic of him where he talks about how he needed to kind of come to terms with his abuse because he was like starting to be verbally abusive to his family. And in fact, there are like his daughter, I think, had a lot of abuse allegations that she leveled at one point, and then she shut right up after he announced his gubernatorial bid. And the Victor Marx story depicts him as this, again, just this like sort of heroic, ideal role model for troubled teens or at-risk kids, and shows him like, teaching karate moves to, a bunch of laughing black kids. And, that's kind of the image that he has. And like, he can do some cool, like his gun disarm is a pretty cool move. I'm not going to like lie. Like I couldn't,
Yeah, we talked about his viral double gun disarm that like, was very popular a few years ago. It's like, I think it's cool. I don't know how practical it is. That doesn't matter. It looks very cool the way he executes it.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, like I don't know how it would hold up in real life, but I'm not 100% sure that it wouldn't work unless you were dealing with, especially there's usually some, I've never had anyone try to shoot me. But anyway, so he makes this movie, which is, highly entertaining, and clearly they put some money into it. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose was, but then he gets involved with this group called the Free Burma Rangers, which is like another Christian group. They're based in Myanmar, but they are they call themselves high risk humanitarian, and I'm not exactly sure what, like, how they first sort of got into like I don't really understand the geopolitics of like what, the Free Burma Rangers were doing, or, who they were protecting in Myanmar. No doubt some, rebel groups, but they are needed in Iraq and Syria to fight ISIS. And so during these years, the All Things Possible Ministries, which is Victor Marx's like church, their revenue like balloons and goes from like, $1 million to like $13 million very, pretty quickly in a pretty compressed period of time. And I'm not exactly sure what they were doing, but during this time, they are making a lot of videos that suggest that they are involved in the business of like rescuing, women and children from ISIS. And, they kind of talk a lot about their videos. And then at the same time, his wife starts up this business that's basically, distributing, like they make stuffed animals that play a soothing song when you touch the tummy. And these are supposed to be like soothing trauma tools for traumatized children in these, war-torn countries. I don't know when the whole rescue narrative started, but it was definitely, something that kind of came up with Tim Ballard and that whole crew. Because there were others. There's a guy who ran for Senate in Alabama. He almost won his primary. There was a guy who just lost the gubernatorial primary in Michigan, a Democrat. All these guys are involved in this sort of Navy SEAL sex trafficking rescue business.
Some of the most explosive allegations you discuss in your piece come from a gun inventor and manufacturer who you describe as a former disciple of Victor Marx.
One of his former disciples, a guy named Corby Hall, who runs a gun manufacturer called Fold AR, which designed a gun, which invented a special gun specifically for school resource officers to avoid school shootings or to shoot school shooters. Very interesting business model, a very another semi-dubious character.
Well, what did it do? It like heat sinking to like it figured out if they had like Doom loaded on their computer or something?
No, I mean, that would be pretty cool. No, it just folds up into a backpack. So it folds up into this backpack. So I guess the idea is that it looks sort of innocent, but I don't know why you would want to give a school resource officer a concealed weapon that looked like a backpack. Like you'd just be like, well, why is our cop wearing a backpack? Like that's just a little strange.
He's like, I got an idea. To stop school shooting, I'm going to invent a gun that's easier to smuggle into schools.
It's like the most
insane.
It's the most absurd, like, and this is like, it's the universe of people that have come out of the woodwork to talk about Victor Marx is unique and interesting and special. And that is like Corby Hall is definitely one of the weirdest, because he does a very good job convincing people that all he wants is to like protect the children. His ex-wife sort of has another story. But in any case, he says that Victor Marx was his spiritual mentor, that like he, sort of, brought him to Christ, but he believes that he abused that relationship in order to try and try and take over his company on the cheap. And what he wanted to do with his company, his gun manufacturer, was supply weapons. First to unclear, mercenaries in Haiti, and second to the IDF. So that is another sort of wrinkle that this takes, is that supposedly there was an orphanage in Port-au-Prince and this is in 2024, that All Things Possible Ministries was charged with protecting an orphanage, and Victor, wanted 50 of these concealable ARs to take to Haiti, and Corby was a little bit confused as to why he needed so many guns just to protect an orphanage. And Victor said, well, if you really want to know, I need to assassinate this guy, Jimmy Barbecue. And
Wait a
Corby
minute, hold
supposedly
Yeah. His name is Jimmy Barbecue. That's his street name, I'm guessing, right?
Jimmy Barbecue. Oh.
Hey,
yeah,
Jimmy
I
Barbecue.
forget what his whole name is. He has a normal name, a normal Haitian sounding name that I'm going to get wrong, but that is his street name, Jimmy Barbecue. He's a former cop who's basically become the sort of preeminent warlord of Haiti. And he, in as much as there is any sort of leadership of Port-au-Prince, I think that he kind of runs whole sections of Port-au-Prince. So initially, supposedly Victor was hellbent on assassinating Jimmy Barbecue. Then on Corby Hall's advice, he decides that he's just going to try and make peace with Jimmy Barbecue. So they invite the Christian Broadcasting Network to come and film this moment where Victor Marx is actually praying with Jimmy Barbecue in the middle of this very war-torn looking Port-au-Prince neighborhood. And it's not really clear what's happening, but also Victor Marx seems really, really high or drunk on this. He's kind of slurring his words throughout the whole thing. It's something to watch. So anyway, so he makes peace with Jimmy Barbecue, and it's really unclear what happens. His translator is this other guy named Zeke Petrie, who was trying to explain to me what happened. He's a friend of Jimmy's. He thinks Jimmy's sort of a populist champion. Most people just think Jimmy's a mafia boss. It's really hard to know. But anyway, after this happens, Corby says that Victor Marx gets much more interested in trying to take over his business, and then he wants something like 50,000 guns for Israel. And he says, Victor, according to Corby, there's only 3,700 schools in Israel. Why do you need 50,000 guns? And Victor admits that he needs them for Gaza and Syria and Lebanon, that the IDF needs them. So then Corby says, well, that's not cool. And, but then he discovers a lot of his guns are missing, guns that he gave to that he thinks that Victor might have that Victor Marx might have made off with, some of his prototypes. So it's very unclear. Victor Marx is a licensed gun dealer. So, he is perfectly, I guess, within his rights to be, sending guns to the IDF or, Al-Shabaab or whoever they're arming in Gaza and Syria and Lebanon, but not to Haiti because they're sexually sanctioned.
So even absent Corby Hall's allegations, it's fair to say that Victor Marx has his fingers in a lot of pies.
So Victor has this life. He's a pastor. He has this ministry. They have a vitamin business. It's a multi-level marketing business. They have this stuffed animal business that brings stuffed animals to children in traumatic situations. They have these plunge pools. They apparently do sort of manliness boot camp at the Colorado Springs compound. They do some real estate deals. I think that he's sold his ministry pieces of land that he owns for very significant markups. And now, he wants to be governor. And Victor Marx has been successful throughout his career in raising money from true believers and the like. So that is one of his many skills: disarming guns and raising money, exorcising demons. He claims to be one of his skills. I haven't, I've seen less evidence that that he has any efficacy in that realm.
Victor Marx was also involved in religious initiatives from Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA.
What I sort of gather happened is that when Jerry Falwell Jr. had his big sex scandal, all I remember is that it involved his wife and some pool boy and like naughty pictures in Miami or something like that. But anyway, this was a big scandal. Jerry Falwell Jr. had to step away. And what I gather is that like Charlie Kirk somehow sort of inherited this like massive umbrella organization of evangelical church stuff. Because you see in the 990s of Turning Point USA, you see suddenly, like in 2022 or something like that, this thing called TPUSA appears in the documents. And they say the mission of TP Faith is to eradicate wokeness from the church. So there you have it. Like that. So there, it's the anti-woke church, Christianity without Christ. And it claims that it has like 3,600 affiliated pastors. So it's a very large universe of guys like Victor Marx. And there's a lot of them who were there when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There's a guy named Rob McCoy whose like son was like Charlie's assistant, and he was like, right there, and he's sort of taken a lead in sort of trying to promote the TPUSA version of events. But Rob McCoy was, deeply involved. And there's all of these other kind of Christian influencers type characters that were sort of hanging around TPUSA and making TPUSA into this kind of financial juggernaut. Another thing that they were doing that was pretty controversial was that they were getting in with people's caregivers, the caregivers of very old people, and
Jesus
convincing
Christ.
somehow old people to sign over basically their estates to TPUSA. And they got sued in Arizona for actually doing this. But this is kind of like, this is like not something you're like, the Heritage Foundation isn't doing that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who knows? They might but like, this is not your average sort of advocacy organization is not doing stuff like that. That is like some special church cult stuff.
I mean, it's a 9-figure operation. So like they need to get constant funds.
Yeah. And just the like unbelievable array of talents that Victor Marx has and realms in which he was sort of, brokering. It gives you an idea, like there's a little military, there's a little finance. I mean, there might be a little bit of money laundering. Maybe there's a little sex trafficking, who knows? But it's not just information warfare. It might be, real warfare. That was the other thing I forgot. This is my favorite thing. He taught a like porn addiction recovery class for Turning Point USA. So like all the porn addicts in the Turning Point orbit come together. I mean, maybe it was on Zoom, I'm not sure. In the orbit of Victor Marx. Like, and this is the other thing. This is like about Corby Hall. Corby Hall, like the Fold AR entrepreneur. There is this thing where, I think that he might be a clearinghouse of fucked up people on the right. He does this thing called a retooling prayer. He claims to be something like of an amateur, like exorcist, but like he convinces these people that, they're going to be saved if they, do everything that he says, and he can be very kind of dictatorial in those settings. So I think that like it's like probably an operation, and they come to him for this, these manliness classes with this cold plunge pool and everything like that. I think that there's probably a lot of utility for the organized right, and there are, many different scams to having these sort of vulnerable pools of like kind of fucked up, maybe substance abuser, porn addict people sort of, ready to like run through fire for them. And like these people, for Victor Marx and for a lot of his followers, they kind of viewed him as like their portal to God. And like, that's a really, really, convenient place to be. Like, that's where you want to be, right? Like the gatekeeper to God, if you are a right wing, if you're trying to sell some right wing agenda, or if you're trying to move some guns or whatever you're trying to do. And I think that like, that is the sort of, you will see a lot more of this coming up. They're really, really going hard, but I don't think it's working.
Yeah, the report is called Onward Christian Soldier. It's super fascinating. She put together a lot of interesting information about like the kind of activities that Victor Marx is up to and the general unreliability of his personal story. Maureen, where can people go to read more of your work?
Just prospect.org, or if you look at Twitter, whatever you want to call Twitter, Tkacik, Moetkacik, you'll find my stuff. I wish I was more prolific. The other thing that I'll say is the Democratic candidate for governor in Colorado, that was like I think that was a surprise, but he's a really good guy. That night, when I was hoping for, Victor Marx to win the nomination, I was assuming that I think Michael Bennet was also running for it, and then he got just blown out of the water. Very surprising to a lot of regular people. So that's a nice thing. Again, like all of these people are Phil Weiser, the former Attorney General. So not all is lost. He's going to beat Victor Marx and maybe indict him after that.
Well, one can hope. All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Maureen.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the QAA podcast. You can go to patreon.com/QAA, get a whole second episode for every single free one that we put out. We've also got a website, QAApodcast.com. Listener, until next week, may the sons of Karl Marx's bless you and become ultra-capitalists.
We have auto-queued content based on your preferences.
My name is Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier. I want to thank Victor Marx for coming to meet me and praying for me. We both care about children and a better Haiti. There's so much corruption and evil that causes suffering that only God can make the changes needed. I'm publicly letting everyone know that I have agreed with Victor Marx that no violence against children, orphanages, American missionaries, and any Asian that help them will be tolerated by Vive Ensemble. Thank you.
I pray, God, as he surrenders more and more to you, Jesus, and sees everything as a spiritual war, you'd open his eyes. I pray you'd protect him from the wicked one. I pray, God, angels will be around this home. I pray you'd fill him with your spirit, God. Give him your eyes and heart. Increase his capacity for love, more than even himself, but that coming from you. Lord, let him know how many believers are praying for him, God. May justice come to this area and to this nation. And we thank you, Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So he found this one in the trash at about 2 weeks old.
How old is he now?
It'll be 9 months. Can't see how little. 9 months.